Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers until the end of the year, so help me out there. We just managed to get to 22k. And let's go guys. So today I wanted to talk about the dev server datamines for the second one, or the last week's dev server, right? So some interesting things over here. To be honest, more than the other ones. So let's get into it. I don't want this video to be too long. So yeah, part one, game parameters, some burn marks and stuff. Ground TWS is now called TWS GTM. Yeah, I mean, come on, right? I mean, TWS was a very ambiguous name to beat the ground one as well as the normal one, right? So yeah, finally that. And preparations for more ground raiders as well, hopefully, right? Damage model parameters, sharpness and stuff, radiators, obviously, physical material parameters, some other changes, nothing too crazy. I say that a lot, nothing too crazy in these videos, but it's because 90% of these things are uninteresting, right? Obviously, because it's small things like track friction on concrete. Yeah, change it like 0.05. Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter too much. I mean, you change the actual way that the tanks move, but, you know, it's not that much. So, yeah. Sound changes. New engine sound for the BTR, which is pretty good. Some long rod APFSTS now uses the APC loading crew voice, okay. Aircraft changes, drop tank added for the 0. I showed that on a video that I did. Interesting. Kafir Canard updated cockpit and the Buccaneer Mark 1 as well. So yeah, interesting. F-4's drop tanks, you know, now they are visible. Pretty cool. Drop tank for the Israeli one as well. Kurnas 2000 got an updated cockpit. 6 Pythons were added, obviously. Removed the AIM-7E2s and AIM-7Fs. Apparently, the main problem with the APG-66 the Kurnas use is that it doesn't have something called an illuminator or something like that makes semi-active missiles work, right? Apparently, the F4F doesn't have that for the Sparrows. The J8F doesn't have that for the PL11, and the Kurnas 2000 doesn't have that for the AIM-7s as well. So we will need to wait until we get Fox 3, advanced 90s Fox 3 missiles for these aircraft to actually get some VR on them. So yeah, some custom loadout changes, obviously due to the addition of the Python 3's and the removal of the AIM-7s. So most of these will be like these changes, as well as changes for the drop tanks as well that were added for the F4s. So yeah, same changes for these, for example. So like this max loadout that they are changing on these F4s. Some of the other aircraft actually got that as well. I don't remember which one, but it's minor changes anyway. But yeah, drop tanks and ejection seats and drop tanks. Let's see, targeting pod camera removed. What does that mean? Interesting. No loadout. I think it's like from the get-go, you need to actually use the lantern pod. Yeah, before it wasn't working properly, you actually was able to use the lantern pod without actually using it, or it was a kind of a bug there, but yeah. Now, I didn't show this on the dev server videos, but I actually added more of the BOL or BOL packs with the AIM-9, so now you can actually take 640 flares apparently. Even more, I think, with the internal ones. It's like a crazy amount of flares in Chef. Some other changes with custom loadouts with the amount of missiles and bombs. So yeah. Yeah, of course, here, for example, the GBU 24B option must be equipped together with the lantern, obviously. New loadouts for the nets with the Python 3. Snake Eye added for the G91R3, or some loadouts at least for that. And for the R4 as well. G91Y, new loadout. So it got the custom loadout and some of the options of missiles. I saw someone saying that the AS-30 wasn't in the G91Y. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, if it's not, it is added right now. G91YS, new loadouts and custom loadouts added. Yeah, doesn't matter. side zoom changes to the Harrier Mark 7, which is pretty good, 6 times. Yeah, very cool. Some custom loadout changes for the IL-2s. Obviously, they are getting custom loadouts right now. A 500 kilogram bomb added for the J8s. Kafir C2 with an updated cockpit with the new loadouts together with the Pythons. So very cool. Same goes for the Kafir C7, obviously. Pythons and the updated cockpit. I did not realize the updated cockpit. Bombs are dropped separately. Drop tank fuel mass change it in the MiG-23s and 27s. This was a very interesting change. Mirage 2005F targeting pod zoom got increased apparently to 98 times. So yeah, that's, my God. You can see far away with such a zoom. Changes to the drop fuel tanks. Drop fuel tanks for this. The actual Su-25 with the Mercury pod actually got it better, you know, so now it is a little bit better, this resolution and stuff. Added the S-25Ls to it with their loadouts and stuff, as well as the Su-39. Okay, Tornado Mark 1, this is the IDS, right, the GR1 loadout changed, so now it actually can carry 3 PGM-2000s, which is pretty cool. So loadouts changes for that. And obviously the options for the addition of the PGMs as well, with some options there as well. All of these aircraft can only fire, or actually they can fire more than one APGM at a time, but they can only guide one at a time, these missiles. So yeah, kind of a nerf, but not really. Sensor changes. So yeah, Fox Hunter Mark 24 here got an acquiring like lock range, you know, the short range one increased to 18,500 meters. Pretty cool, it helps lock it up. And then we go for the APG-66. This is a very interesting one. The actual APG-66, all of them, of the F-16, of the F-40G Kai, got nerfed a little bit. So I don't know about this angle of half sensitivity yet, but the actual speed of the searches are increased. So, for example, the periods of them, of course, these limits and stuff, it's better. Overall, it makes so that you can actually like pull a little bit more without losing the lock, vertically especially, and some of them in pitch as well. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about is this. Even the search zone of them were increased or decreased depending on the situation. Increase it, decrease it a little bit, decrease it a little bit, so minor changes. But the main thing is the period. The period means the time that it takes for doing the whole pattern search, right? So, for example, the narrow search, it got increased almost twice as much, so 0.65. In the medium search pattern, it takes almost 4 seconds, and right now it takes 2. So it's just those changes that they are doing. It's supposed to be realistic. Apparently, there is a lot of bug reports on this one, and also on the APG-9, they are both overperforming on that sense. They're basically almost a PESA radar right now, or an ESA radar, right? The speed of detection. So now they're going to be a little bit more of a normal radar, right? So yeah, as you see, 4 seconds overall. I mean, it's twice as much, but it's still pretty all right. It's not a slow radar to detect anyway, right? Period of the lock patterns were decreased a little bit, so we will lock a little bit faster, but it's just a tiny bit, so won't change too much. I mean, it's 30%, but still, it's not that much. So yeah, so the APG-66 overall, we will have more angles to actually be able to turn a little bit more depending on the situation and still maintain a lock. Not really though, I mean, it's more of a search parameter than anything else, but still, the locks itself, as you see, it might be like this for the elevation limits. We will have to wait and test it out. But the main thing is that they were nerfed in the speed of detection, okay? APG-9 TCL, they changed the name for the TCL here for the TCS, which is a more correct name, obviously. Copio 25, this is the ground radar of the, I mean, it's the radar of the Su-39, but it has a ground mode, right? So now they actually did it a very good change on naming. So now it's not confusing with the same names as the other modes, right? So now it has GTM and TWS GTM, as you see. So yeah, very cool. Also, the tails RDY, Thomson CFI RDI as well, got PD modes replaced with medium PRF and high PRF modes. So apparently both radars received that, which is, I was actually prepared to actually talk about only the Mirage 2000-5, that it actually has one of the best radars in the game right now, if not the best, in the sense of sensitivity to blind speeds of the pulse Doppler. And not only that, it has actually, it's the first French radar that has medium PRF and high PRF, but apparently the 2000C also is getting that. So yeah, supposed to be, both of them are going to be very, very good radars. I mean, doesn't change the fact that the missiles that the French have right now they're okay, but they're short-ranged. But still, it's good to have a pulse Doppler radar. Hopefully, they actually fix the thing that makes pulse Doppler radars basically invulnerable to notching less than 10 kilometers. So yeah, the MiG-29, for example, there's many manuals talking about that. So hopefully they add that, because in a dogfight, you need to actually be able to lock properly a target because you're really close to it. So notching and stuff kind of doesn't work because there's so many waves of basically pulse Doppler of the radar there that the pulse Doppler downfall, like problems of notching and stuff kind of don't appear, right? So yeah. So new vehicles, the Marceau and the Emile Bertin. Some changes to some skins over here. Remove the skins. Some changes to ships. I'm going to kind of pass it over. You can pause it and take a look. I don't want to lose too much time in ships because I'm not an expert on it. So I might just say something wrong, right? Yeah, BTR, some minor changes to the tanks. Added an NVD projector, which is always nice. It wasn't working before. VBC, some like minor changes, but very big ones overall, right? In the armor, I mean, it's just a model of the new French APC being actually, properly added, right? So some changes in the FOV, some changes in the thermals, as you see. So yeah, very, very cool. Let's go for the second one. Should actually return it over here. Then we have part 2 over here. Let's take a look if we have anything important. Increased the weight of the Damocles, so just bear that in mind that it has a 75 kilogram nerf to it. Added the launch sector, FOV control cone. Of course, these are minor changes that are just the full implementation of the actual new physics of the ATGMs and stuff that we already talked about. If you don't know, I have plenty of videos on it, but basically is making the proper ATGMs, the ATGMs have a proper physics to it. So a proper physical model, if you will, with fins and stuff and thrust and everything like that, like all other missiles. So they are a little bit harder to use, but they are a little bit more realistic. PL8 Python 3 guidance, this is a very important thing. If you don't know the stat card of the Python 3 before, it was already 40G's, but the actual G's of it was 30. So it wasn't turning what the stat card said. Now it is actually introduced to 40. According to most sources, it's supposed to be 35 apparently. So I don't know if it's going to be right from the get-go overperforming or not. Not that 5G's changed too much. And the IR seeker got increased as well, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the situation. Generally, if the target doesn't flare, it's a good thing. It means that the missile will be able to even lead a little bit more if the G's make it possible, right? If you can actually do the turn. But the autopilot and stuff, there are other considerations here. But in general, at least it will be less restricted by the seeker itself on leading to intercept a target. But the bad part is that a flare makes it so that it's a little bit more of an area to be a flare on. So it might be problematic against flares, this missile, for now at least. They finally decreased the VONA-M proximity fuse. I mean, 50 meters is, oh my god. But yeah, the VONA-M is the S-125 in the Bravi ship. And it has an incredibly large proximity fuse. So yeah, torpedo changes over here. Tech tree, okay. BR changes. So yeah, with the removal of the AIM-7s and the addition of the Python 3's, it's actually the Kubernetes 2000 is going to 11.3, G8F going to 11.7 due to not having BVR as well, and the Kafir C7 due to receiving the Python 3, it actually got increased to 11.0. So yeah, stat card changes as you see, new vehicles, the Leopard, economic changes. Here we have a lot of economic changes, but there are not that big. For example, here, stated repair cost of the AJ37, basically 19 Silverline. So it's not that much, you know. So I'm not gonna cover every single one of them because see how like the cost coefficients and stuff, they're so small, the difference between them. So kind of it's not worth to talk about, right? Some changes over here increased in the price of the Kubernetes 2000 modifications and changing on the costs and stuff because they are removing 2 modifications out of it. So it's just balancing itself out, right? More minor things over here. I think, I don't know, yeah, same thing here. Adding a new modification, so it balances itself out on the net, so it's decreasing. So this will be on every single aircraft that got new modifications. The G91Y, it's decreased. For example, the G8B, it's increasing. So it depends on the type of modification that's being added, right? But overall, we will be kind of balancing itself out of what it was before, decreasing or increasing because of additions or removals of modifications. This is a very, very normal thing, as you see, for all these aircraft. I'm just gonna pass it over. Nothing too crazy to talk about it here. Image and text changes. Missile type F air-to-air group. Let me see. What is this? It's a new image for the Python 3's, right? Yeah, pretty cool. New loading screen, the J8F. Okay, it's a very cool one. I lost the image itself, but it's pretty cool. New menu, as you see, for the ground radars. So ground radar, this is all for ground radars. Tracking, vertical, doesn't matter. Velocity, whatever, you know, PD, etc. is just for that. And India, because of the new Indian tank, right? Yeah, some changes in naming, and basically this is it, guys. Let's just go back right here. There is a minor thing over here. Let me just see if there is anything big over here. Oh yeah, this was an actual change that happened on the dev server, I think. Just naming and stuff, but the MatAWG got a new skin, 2 new skins actually. Added primary and secondary track parameters to the TWS. I have to check it out, but according to the Discord, my Discord, people were talking about, apparently the radars on the MatAWGs are going to be the most difficult radar to notch. You know, as I said, I still believe that it needs a little bit of an improvement over all the radars, on the sense that when you are closer to a target, it should not be able to notch because you are trying to use the gun and you're losing lock a lot right now. And for all the aircraft that have these types of guns, you know, it's problematic. And yeah, but basically this is it, guys. So some big changes, some small changes. Overall, very interesting data mine. Expect the patch to be very, very soon, as short as Tuesday, as long as Thursday maybe. So I mean, I already said this last week, but we are on the imminence of the patch, and I think we will see it this week, okay? Let me know in the comments what you want to see in the update itself, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.